Brunner. Hey folks, I'm Gary.
And I'm Andrew.
And we are with Brunner's Lawn and Services. And today on Brunner's Bits, we're going to discuss with you what the landscaping proposal process looks like. All right, folks, when it comes to maintaining your grounds or landscaping, having a clear understanding of what to expect is crucial. At Brunner's, we pride ourselves on a thorough approach to our proposal process. From the initial meeting to the final presentation of numbers, Andy and I and our entire team, we aim to provide a new, beautiful landscape for our clients. So today, Andy and I are going to break down what the Brunner's proposal process looks like. So, what does a Brunner's proposal for your grounds maintenance or landscaping look like? So, Andy, I have in my notes here this process. You and I, we go and we meet with the client.
Yep.
What are some of the things that you and the client discuss when you meet?
Depends on what we're doing. If it's an enhancement, what they've had previously, what they're looking for. If it's just a standard proposal where they want like a full package seasonal type thing, it's a lot of growing pains and learning what their do's and don'ts are, especially if it's an HOA where they have hundreds of residents. Some of them want to do their own thing. As we discussed previously, some of the HOAs we deal with are all about uniformity, and other ones allow them to do the wild approach, and each bed is an individual's responsibility. So lots of talking on my part, to be honest.
What I do find is sometimes during that initial meeting of vision, sometimes we're not a fit.
No.
So sometimes from the very beginning, what the client wants and expects is completely different than what we can provide for them.
Right.
And at our company, when we give you a proposal, we want to exceed your expectations. So, folks, that's what we do. And the initial part of our proposal is we do the fact finding, we meet, we see your vision, and then we come up with an idea. That's our next step. We come up with an idea. If we're a fit, Andy and you or any other client, you decide like, what are we going to put in here? Like, do I need to draw it out?
Yep.
Or let me rephrase it. Does Andy need to draw it out? I am not the artist. Remember?
Oh yeah, I remember your little doodles.
Hey, they sold though. I mean, tracing lines is okay.
Yeah, and you used to give me very interesting little scribble drawings of what I was supposed to do, and I had to extrapolate from there.
Well, I used to use Larry. Larry is the father of one of our owners, Josh. He's kind of the godfather, we call him. Larry
He's the Brunner.
He is the Brunner. But so back in the day, I used to Larry used to like do drafting and stuff like that for Dayton Walther. They did like fifth wheels. Well, when he retired, he gave us all of it, which I think you have them now.
On my desk.
All of his drafting stuff. Like, folks, we're talking 1970s, 1980s drafting tools, the compasses, protractors, everything. Well, I used to just take the little odd shapes in the protractors, and that's how I would draw my shrubs. And you'd be like, what the heck is this?
What's the rectangle supposed to be?
Boxwood. Well, burning bush.
Is it a square because it's a boxwood?
Hey, but I would have the little compass and
key
a little key in the corner. Do they even teach kids that? Hey, Anthony, when you were in school, did they teach you how to read a map? Like a compass rose and then a key and all of that stuff?
I believe they did, but I got to be honest, I don't remember a lot from school, so I'm not the person
Me
to
neither,
ask.
it's okay.
I'm going to be honest. I know we're talking about the proposal thing, but I'm going to give Anthony some credit. Folks, Anthony's with Ship Lobby Studios. He's our producer, recorder, all of that stuff. This is his home, his place.
I don't live here.
He doesn't live here, but he talked me and Andy into wearing these headphones. And I hate hearing myself even more now. At least I don't have to see myself because I got the...
I sound better than I do on my voicemail or my old answering machine.
Yeah, I use the T-Mobile. Nobody is available right now.
The person you have dialed is unavailable.
All right, so back to it. So we come up with the idea, and then Andy has his measuring stick.
My ever-present measuring wheel.
Because, folks, it's if you have a landscaper come out and give you a proposal and they're not measuring for square footage or volume if they're putting mulch or rock in, you're hiring the wrong professional. It is you can't measure everything from Google Earth.
No.
Everybody says, "Oh, I'm going to measure it from home." There is software that is awesome. None of those satellites can see through trees.
I mean,
It's
they've got
impossible.
something that I haven't seen before, like the government has or something. I've never found anything that works like that.
No.
And Google Earth, if you're trying to measure through a canopy, you'll click here and it'll put a point way over here.
Yes. So nothing can substitute the good old-fashioned walking with a measuring stick with your boots. That's the best tool you can have, folks. If
Good
your
footwear.
landscaper doesn't have good boots or good shoes, hire someone else. Like, I don't even landscape anymore, and look, I got good boots. I like my boots. I have Dickies.
It helps when you have a busted ankle and you have to wear them.
Yeah, with your screws in your feet. So after we measure, though, we decide on what plants, the spacing, how many you need. Like, if you're putting annuals in, you plant them about one every 8 to 12 inches. If you're putting in, say, a coneflower or echinaceas, because they grow together, you want to plant them one every 6 inches or so. A lot of them say one every 12 inches, but if you really want it to
fill the
it's a wide
spacing quickly.
flower. So it's important. And that's what we do during the second stage. We come up with the idea, we measure, we get the plants. That way, when we're done, I guess we'll do
Almost had to
the customer service corner is what we're going to talk about next. So key the music, Anthony. All right, folks. So today on our customer service corner, this is where we give you some insight on phone calls or client needs or different things like that. But today we're going to talk about turf maintenance around ponds. And why, Andy, are we talking about turf maintenance around ponds?
Because we mow around a lot of ponds, and one of those, it not only immediately a visual thing, if you're out mowing and you see a lawn service mowing incorrectly and spraying the grass clippings into the pond, you can see the nice floaty green all over the pond, which then sinks down to the bottom and becomes more algae and other things, or algae, depending on how you want to say it. And that's something you will have to deal with later on down the line.
Yeah, folks. So it's important that the grass is blown away from the pond because, all right, if you're hiring the cheapest company and they don't have chute blockers because you're just thinking about price and you have big ponds, you're going to be really mad at yourself when it costs you $100,000 to $200,000 to have your pond dredged and all of that algae and stuff removed. And it's going to happen. We have a client right now that is one of the things that they're having issues with because they used one of our competitors for many years, and I'm quite sure that they blew clippings into that pond.
They had to send a scuba diver down to determine how much buildup was at the bottom of the pond, and he found a very nice snapping turtle. Other than that, he found about 18 to 24 inches of muck at the bottom that they have to determine in what way they're going to remove it and where.
There's special backhoes and excavators,
big dredges.
And the problem is the dumping fees for it because it takes a special place to take that kind of material. Mm-hmm. So one way that you can prevent that is spend the extra money. We have the same client just spent about $5,000 to have us go ahead and put a 2 to 3 foot rock border around the pond. That way we have no choice but to mow away from the pond. And as long as we're mowing in the correct direction, we only have to do 2 or 3 passes going in one direction, which that helps prevent rutting and things like that. So creating that barrier not only prevents us from mowing and shooting the grass in the pond, it also prevents rutting because we don't have to do as many passes going the same direction.
Well, and we do have to weed eat around the pond still. The mowers don't get everything,
Yes.
and that border barrier there also prevents, it doesn't prevent everything. Mother Nature wins, and when the wind picks up while we're trimming, it can blow a little bit in it, but it does minimize the trimmings going into the pond greatly.
A big important thing, though, folks, unless you're using a chemical that is safe for the watershed, you have to be 50 feet from the pond for chemical. So if you have a lawn chemical company and they're treating right up next to the pond, they're freaking wrong. They're breaking the Ohio Department of Agriculture and EPA rule guidelines. You have to be 50 foot from drains, watersheds, ponds. So if you're a property manager or a resident of a property and you're watching this, there are areas, if you have ponds and drainage areas, that lawn treatments cannot be done. So you're not going to get rid of every weed unless you pay the extra money to have the special chemical. But even that, because it's safe for the water, it means it doesn't kill everything. So you're still going to have some issues.
The
so
chemical in general should be should make sure it's being disposed of correctly, including pools being drained.
Yes. And the simplest thing that you can also do to keep your ponds clean when you're maintaining the turf is to pick up the trash.
Oh, yeah.
Pick up the trash.
Oh, yeah.
And if you want a company that's going to pick up the trash and pick up the competitor's garbage, give Brunner's Lawn and Services a call. You can reach us at 937-681-4859. You can visit our website at www.brunnersltd.com, or you can leave a comment below. And if you go to our website, sign up for our newsletter. So, folks, that is today's Brunner's Customer Service Corner. Litter. I'll say it for you, Andy. All right, so let's move on to our third step of what a landscape proposal should look like. So we've went out, we've seen your vision, we've talked to you, we've done the planning stage, we've done the measurement. Now Andy and I go back and put in the numbers. And actually, let me rephrase it. Andy goes back and puts everything into our LMN. I'm wearing their hat. They're not sponsoring this. LMN software. That is the CRM software, proposal software that we use for our clients. We can check our measurements by measuring through LMN. LMN has a measurement tool in it. So we will confirm some of our measurements. So technically, folks, your property is getting measured twice in some instances. But this is where Andy also finds the best suppliers for what we're doing. What entails that? How much time does it take you to?
I don't want to know.
Let's say we're doing a proposal that we're ripping out 20 plants and we're putting 3 varieties of plants to replace it with a rock border. How much time would that take you to put a proposal like that together?
That depends on how much money the individual or HOA is willing to spend. Plant choices, if it's an individual, is going to be a heck of a lot faster because they don't have to argue amongst themselves like an HOA does. In HOA instances, I sometimes have to do 3 or 4 proposals to get everybody on the same sheet, and that's just deciding on plants and product. I mean, at that point, depending on what kind of rock, it's almost like finding plants because there's a myriad of different choices.
All right, folks, right now, we had to cut. I made a boo-boo. Anthony corrected me.
It happens. It's usually me.
So we'll go back to what we were talking about, and that was finding suppliers and this and that and money and how much money people would spend. So a big proposal, how much time does it take for you?
Anywhere from 2 to 3 days to I've had projects that before we ever got anything signed took me 2 or 3 months in the deciding process for larger enhancements and complete installs. And that's back and forth with the initial, say, a blueprint, what the plants are calling for. I can't find depending on the time of year they're wanting it, or I can't find it in the same variety or size depending on the time of year. There's a lot of back and forth in emails and phone calls.
Well, one of the big things, so I'm going to throw it out there because it's a big news story here locally. We won the proposal for Crossroads Church up at the Dayton Mall in Miamisburg. It's a big project. It's getting a lot of notoriety right now because of the space. Folks, this proposal is very large. It took us about 2 months of vision, going through this process and putting everything together to come to the conclusion of the final proposal. The rock choices, colors, the plants, timing, things like that. So it's not, so if you meet with a landscaper or like us, you have us come out to give you numbers. It's not something you're going to get in 24 hours. It takes a process, because if you want our best price, because folks, our price is not the cheapest. So if you want our best price, you got to give us time to get the plants from the right place.
And then hours and hours and many of these
Yeah.
little.
How many notebooks do you go through a year, Andy?
We just in the last 2 months, I've been through 6 of them already. And by the end of the year, probably 2 dozen.
2 dozen.
I have an entire filing cabinet full of them because I keep every one of them to go back and go, I already measured this. I swear I did.
Anthony, you should use a notepad for everything. Write everything down moving forward.
Hey, and these ones are waterproof, so when I'm walking around in the rain, I can still take notes.
So it takes a lot to put together a proposal. So our third step of putting the numbers together, and I got to throw this out. Depending on the season, some plants aren't available.
Well, that's what I was saying. I may not be able to find them for when, like you were saying, a deadline. I may not be able to get that because it's not the proper time to dig those plants.
Yep.
It seems like every year I can buy all the phlox in the spring I want, but come fall, somebody wants phlox, and then I'm calling suppliers, and I'm like, who's got phlox? I have 5 here. I've got 6 here.
Well, and right now with the boxwood blight and boxwoods being crap, a lot of plants have already been bought and spoken for by some of the very large companies because everybody's replacing stuff. Like hydrangeas. We can't get hydrangeas until what, June?
The oak leaves that we're looking for, I could piecemeal that proposal together with different varieties, but
But that's not what we gave.
I want the consistent look across the board, and that's what they're looking for.
And what other plants can we not get until
the Gold Splash euonymus that I was looking for is going to be probably June, and that's because of the supplier up north and the temperatures we had, and all that fun stuff.
Now I know we're time stamping this and saying June, and I know this is playing in July, but with that being said, it's the same. Come July, like right now, it's starting. If it's warm when this is airing, you don't want to put grass seed down unless you're going to water it. You don't necessarily want to go and start planting a bunch of new plants if you look at the forecast and it's not going to rain. So depending on the season, it's
similarly, I'm putting together a proposal for temporary irrigation for a property where they can't guarantee that the elderly residents of the property are going to be able to get out and water plants for a new install.
Yep. So folks, that's our third step. Andy puts the numbers in. I go into LMN and I put our profit numbers, sales tax, edit his poor grammar. I'm sorry, I had to throw that out there.
Oh, no.
Edit his poor grammar and then send it out. And then when I say that, watch, my next proposal is going to be poor grammar. But yeah, folks, we get that together. And then we come to our final step. I threw it low. I don't know if they saw it. Here's an imaginary card. So we come to our final step, and that's where we either email you the proposal, or we set a meeting with the board, or we meet with the property owner, or however it goes. That's where we
Project manager.
Yeah, that's where we give the proposal. This is where we sit down and we answer your questions. We figure out if we're a fit at this point, because folks, we're not cheap. We're not cheap. But one thing we're really good at balancing is the price with the quality and the customer service. And I know, Andy, it's not going to last forever and people are going to catch up to us on this, but nobody does customer service like we do. Like if we get a phone call right now, as soon as we get done recording, Andy is going to be out looking at whatever the issue was.
My butt has vibrated 7 times already since we started this, so I have no idea what I'm in for the rest of my day. It's always fun.
Well, I don't want to know with a vibrating butt.
It's my phone. I
don't know if that's appropriate for YouTube, but it's staying. Anthony, keep that in there.
I needed to keep it out of the camera shot. You yelled at me last time.
The story of vibrating butts. Yeah. Oh, and I got to give a shout out before we close this episode out, Andy. Loosen's Brewing Company. John Luce, he's not a sponsor, but he does have great beer. He has great beer and great food.
I still haven't made it in for the myriad of grilled cheese sandwiches.
I don't know if they still have them. They have a different chef now.
You hurt my soul.
I know. I'm sorry. But anyways, folks, so after we meet with you, sometimes it doesn't work out.
No.
Sometimes it does.
Sometimes we're not the warm and fuzzy feeling immediately. A lot of places have to, HOAs and property managers have to take 3 to 4 different proposals for their clients there, and we may not be the best fit right off the bat, but it's not in my mind, it's not a bad thing to be the second guy that they remember that talked their ear off for an hour and remembered all their plants in their bed and their birthday and other things.
Yeah. So, folks, my goal though is if we're not a fit at that moment, that we give you the experience that you call us back. Yep. Because I promise you, depending on when people plant things or how people do things to make a dollar, they do it wrong. and you're going to have to replace it. And I promise you, we're going to do it right. I can't say that we're not going to make mistakes, but we're always going to try to follow guidelines. We never go, we never sacrifice and do shortcuts just because. And sometimes we lose clients because of it, because they want us to do something. And we have a particular client right now that last year they had somebody plant stuff. It was the wrong time. Some of it lived, some of it didn't, and we're replacing it. So they had to pay double the money because they wouldn't just let us do it the right way and wait for
The proper
a
time.
month. But it all worked out. So folks, we're going to go ahead and conclude. This episode was all about what a landscaping proposal should look like if you get it from Brunner's. I would hope that everyone does a process like this, because I would hope that in our industry, everybody's got the customer first in mind, not just the profit. I know that's not the case, but with us, it is. So folks, if you're looking for a company that serves their clients and their team with integrity, dependability, and respect, like I said in the customer service corner, give us a call. Because at Brunner's, what matters, Andy?
Satisfaction matters. You always end with that every time asking me.
Well, that's our ending tagline.
Well, I know.
All right, folks. Have an awesome day. Thanks for watching. Be cool. Later.
Yep.